Hello everyone, I'm Alex Smith and this is Rupert Honeywood from Business Growth Bureau. Thank you so much for joining us again. What we're actually going to be looking at right now is if you're looking for a different level of growth through your business, say you haven't got the resources to be actually able to plug, say, BDMs in or support staff around you, there is actually options of being able to grow and expand your product and service by doing something called licensing. So Rupert, in essentially a nutshell, what is licensing for a business?
Well, licensing is a way that you can potentially scale or grow your business, but still have an element of control over the intellectual property or product or service that you've actually created.
But what does it actually look like? So what does it mean to actually license out my business?
What it enables you to do is to actually find people around you who can really help you to scale and grow your business, but making sure they comply with the framework that you put in place and adopt best practices of which you may lay down.
So essentially they provide my products and services, but I set all the guidelines in place for them to be able to follow.
Exactly.
And in terms of the money arrangement, because obviously everybody cares about the money and how they're going to get paid for certain things, but like, how does that look? Do I pay them a revenue share? Do I just put them on a salary? What do I do with them?
Right. Well, it certainly wouldn't be a salary, because if it was a salary, it wouldn't normally fall under a license arrangement. But typically what would happen is a licensee may pay a sum of money. It could be a large amount, could be a small amount, or it could be nothing in theory. And then what would tend to happen as well is it may be that a percentage is retained by the person who owns the license, and then the licensee also retains a percentage themselves. And depending on the business, what those numbers look like is going to be completely different.
Yeah. In terms of having a licensee for your product, what are the massive pros to that? Obviously, we've talked about one in terms of scale and reach, but what are other pros to that?
Well, there's pros for a licensee and a licensor. For example, for the licensor, the person issuing the license, it does give that control, which is great. Also, it saves you as a licensor having to expand at the same rate. So it means, for example, let's say your business has massive growth potential. If you have to start employing loads of people before the revenue starts to come in, your business will typically need to borrow a lot of cash to give you that growth first before you start to see the return on investment. A lot of small businesses can't sustain that. And equally, they may have developed a lot of really good IPs as a way of protecting it. Equally, a lot of licensees want to feel they're part of something. They want to become part of a training program. They almost want a little bit of a business in a box. So it's much less onerous than potentially a franchise arrangement would be. It tends to be much easier to buy into. So if you're in the coaching, mentoring, training space, for example, let's take that as a case in point. You may have developed a whole program which you want to then use licensees to go out and push out based on your models. You then train those coaches, trainers, mentors up to offer what you've created, and then the coach, mentor, the trainer then actually retains a percentage of the revenue for themselves. And obviously, as a licensor, you receive something on the back of it. But what it does enable you to do is potentially to scale your business much more quickly without necessarily taking on the financial risk.
And now, obviously, that's cool. That's nice to know that. Now, in terms of the flip side of that, what's the cons of it?
Well, the cons are you just have to be a little bit careful, because it depends what you want at the back end. So in some cases, you may find this particular approach helps to increase the value of your business, but it's just a case whether it increases it by as much as if you actually retained everything yourself and employed people. It tends to be, by definition, much lower cost and much lower risk for all parties concerned to look at a licensing type of arrangement rather than employing whole armies or teams of people. But it can be, the downside of it, I suppose, as well, is it can sometimes be a bit like herding cats. So you may be very reliant on how active those licensees want to be.
Yeah.
And there can be a hidden cost with that. So by recruiting the right licensees can actually be really important for you and your business.
And is there a good place to find these licensees?
It depends again on your market, but actually you can find, because a lot of this, when someone's coming to a license, it's about building relationships of trust and building a team of people around you that are going to be supporting the organisation the other way around. So networking referrals can work very well for that. But equally, also, if you plug in some form of service where you can, maybe through LinkedIn, using other social media, where you get people warmed up to the point where they're actually asking to have those type of conversations and expressing interest in working with you, then basically some very good methodologies that we can recommend for that, and indeed it's covered by some of the other videos that we have to offer. Now that would enable you to scale things out much more quickly, and that's obviously something that's worth considering as well.
Cool. And is there anything else you feel we kind of need to cover on that then?
Yeah, so I think broadly speaking that's covered most of it. What I would say is just look at our website, look at the YouTube channel. There's lots of good stuff on there, and we may well be covering the whole aspect of franchising in another video, but certainly for smaller businesses and potentially large ones, license arrangements can work very well.
Perfect. Okay. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch. As you know, I'm Alex Smith and this is Rupert Honeywood from Business Growth Bureau. So thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you.